what we're making today. And please excuse my snuffling voice. I think my immune system packed up on me from trying to heal my hand, and now I'm sick. There we go. Come and join me. Kia ora e te whānau. Well, a little bit of an update. I can now do that much. Still working on my exercises, but I'm definitely getting there, and my physio is very happy, and a whole lot of the swelling's gone down. So back to our Come Make a Journal with me, now that I have my cast off my broken hand, and I'm just going to do a page here, which you would have seen at the beginning, so I can show you what to do. So you're just going to need one of the pages, one of the folios from the journal. It doesn't have to be a really sturdy one. I've got just two different sizes of die cuts here, and the reason I've got those is because the first one I have, and I've just done a little bit of prep because this would be a long video otherwise. So I cut that there, but this is going to be the acetate window size. So when I drew the drawing, I made sure it fitted into that little window. So I drew this into here first, then I cut it out with the die cut on the big sheet of paper afterwards. And then all I have done is I used a little bit of more of that album cover to cover a nice sturdy piece of board, and then I glued the sketch onto it. I haven't covered the back yet, but I will, probably just with a little bit of ledger paper. Okay, so the other prep that I have done is I have just printed one of the digitals, my digitals that I'm using, onto card stock, and I just folded it in half, lined it with some genuine ledger paper, and rounded the corners. The reason why it's slightly shorter, and you could do this measuring after you've done this bit, but I wanted to prep ahead. So this bookmark here is going to have a little window pocket that we slide it into, but we're going to leave that pocket as a belly band so that that can be slid underneath and hold this shut. Now this, you might remember that I found this image and I really loved it. This might be too thick to use for that, in which case I do have another option, but I'll show you how to do it anyway, because from what I've seen, some of you have been sending me photos of what you've been doing with this journal. That makes me so happy, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful work. I can't believe it. But yes, we'll see how we go. And I know you'll make it your own anyway. Okay, so this here will need to be cut shorter, just slightly, so that the pocket that this bookmark is going to sit into, you don't want that to overlap it. Okay, you want it to be either right next to it or slightly apart, and you'll see why once, well, you would have seen it at the beginning, right? Okay, so all I have done, this is just plain cardstock, and what we're going to want to do, so that because we need something to slide in behind, it's very hard to explain, but you would have seen it, because we need that to slide in behind. We don't want the pocket where it's folding to be folding back this way, because the thing that's sliding in will catch on that edge. So what we need to make sure of is that when we size this around here for the pocket, that one that's going to fold that way is nice and long, and this one will be glued first. That means that when things get slid in, there's nothing that's going to interfere with that. Now I've just got to figure out the order of it because I need to cut a little window and put the acetate on, and I want it to match up perfectly to that. I've never done one of these before, so bear with me. If you saw it at the beginning of the video, obviously it worked. If you never see this video, then obviously it didn't. So I need a little bit of a fold there. So I'm just going to approximate this because I'm going to cut it down slightly anyway. And that means that I'm going to need this to be cut about here. You know me, I don't measure anything. So I'm going to need to die cut that about there. Okay, so I will just go and run that through my die cut machine and I will be back. Okay, so I'm going to ink that inside edge. Then I'm going to cut a piece of acetate and I'm going to sew the acetate in. But first what we need to do, now ideally you'd just have done that on a larger piece, but I used the other half of this piece to create that little folio. So that's why we're doing it this way. See how cute that's going to look? Love it. Okay, so that's going to be poking out of our little window, which I think is just too cute. So when I have it exactly where I want it, then what I need to do, I just straighten that up and check that we're still right. Yep. So we need this edge here. Now if I do things funny, it's just because I need to do it. I'm still quite restricted with the movement with my hand, so some things I can do and some things I still can't. And yeah, it might just be better. Usually I would use that edge to fold it, but in this case, okay, so then grab your bone folder or whatever you have at hand. Now this doesn't matter, well it shouldn't, but we'll soon find out if that edge is straight, because all that's going to be is the rest of the back of the pocket. Okay, so when we've got that there, yeah, that is a little bit wonky at the moment. I will probably get out my creasing, what is that thing called? Creasing board, you know what I mean. And I'm just going to make sure that this distance here is a little bit more flush with the top and the shape of this. But you will be able to see that at least our window is in the right spot. Okay, and you might, so that's going to be perfect. And I'm just going to trim down here, but at the moment all I'm going to do is cut a piece of acetate. Now I don't like the acetate thinking that it's going to catch, so I would cut the acetate the exact same size as this whole piece here. Then I would glue around the edge, probably with Fabri-Tac or the glue that I use, and then I'm going to sew around the edge. I might also sew there before I close this up and glue it. Okay, so I'll pop back and show you what I mean. Okay, I'm back, and all I have done, I haven't glued it yet, so I have got some acetate glue underneath that acetate. And then I have, if you can see, I've sewn around the outer edge and I've sewn around the inner edge, just because I don't know how well that glue will hold. And I've just put a random image in the back, because otherwise when the bookmark isn't in there, it's going to be blank. I have, because I've made my bookmark out of quite thick matte board, I have changed the side. I don't know if you can see that, but I've actually got a fold and then a 5mm fold, so that I've actually made it into a rectangle. If your bookmark wasn't that thick, then you probably wouldn't need to do that. So yeah, basically I'm just going to glue that along there. So glue along there, close that up. Then I'm going to put some glue there and some glue there. And I'm going to put it on there like that. Now the reason why I left this side longer is so that this edge won't interfere with sliding the closure under the pocket. And I have realized that this, unfortunately, because it does look so pretty, look at that. Aww. Apparently, yeah, it is too thick, and it's not going to like going under there, because yeah, so I'll try and find something else, and I will replace it with a thinner cardboard journaling card to put in there, but just for the purposes of television. So when that's glued down, that slides under there. That holds it like a belly band, but it also holds that closed. Okay, and that was the other thing that I was going to use, but that's going to stick out the edge. I suppose I could cut it down so that there's no white border, but I don't know. The other thing I did was I've just put a hole in here for now. I'm going to put an eyelet through there and put a tassel up there as well, so that when that is in there, the tassel will be sticking out and it'll be easy to pull out. I'm not closing the bottom because I think the tassel will stop it from sliding out of there, but we'll see how we go. I might need to end up just putting something there to close that bottom. Okay, so I shall just finish those little bits up and then I will pop back. So this stuff here, I think it's for crochet. What I do is I just cut a piece and then I pull it apart, and I end up with a whole lot of little curly bits, and I'll just show you how I'm going to make a tassel from that, but I'm not going to make you sit there while I pull all the little bits apart, so I'll be back. Okay, so I might have shown you guys these before. They are, just so that you can see them so that you know what you're getting, they are for using on leather necklace ends. And if you just search that on Temu or wherever, that's where I get them from, they're for binding the ends of leather necklaces. And then I just, can you see, I'm going to snip that bit off. And here is my pretty, see how lovely and fluffy that comes out? And that is due to go through here. I'm just going to quickly chuck an eyelet in there, and then it's pretty self-explanatory, so I won't be talking. will say that is a really good trick, by the way, rather than trying to get those fluffy ends through the eyelet. I put both ends through and then do that, because it is near impossible to get all those little guys through. And then that just clips onto there because it's a little U now, the U shape, and then you just flatten down each side, which I won't be able to show you because I struggle with this a bit at the moment, and then you just fold down both of those sides towards the back, and I'll show you that in a second. So there you go, camera focus, that's the front, and both of those two little sides have just been crimped down to hold that there, and then that goes in there. You've got an easy little tassel to pull to take out the bookmark, and you will have that sticking out the top of the journal as well, just for a little bit of interest. Or if it flaps down, obviously it'll be out the side, but there you go. I might potentially, seems to be pretty stable, like that bookmark's not falling through the bottom even though that bottom is open, so I might just leave it there. So then you can pull that out, you can write in there, and then that just slides it shut. Now this here, I actually had it upside down, this is called a collagraph. So all this is a piece of cardboard, and then I've cut a piece of cardboard that size, and then I've cut a piece of cardboard that looks like a tree, and then I've stuck it down, and then I've rolled ink over it and put it onto paper and rolled over the back of it. You might be able to see the impression a little bit of the card, maybe not in this light, but yeah, so that's an original little artwork. It's just meant to be, probably wondering what it was. I don't even know. How imaginative are you? Could you see what that was before I told you? So you've got a tree there, mountain range in the background, and then this would be sky and this would be grass. Yeah, so you could use anything though to obviously close that. It could be a postcard, it could be a journaling card, anything that can flip under there. It just means that it'll nicely close that. And yeah, hopefully that's something that you haven't seen before. So as for our journal, we've only got a few little bits and pieces. It's got lots of interactive stuff. I can't honestly say that this journal feels like more of an ideas book journal than it does one of my journals, but when I make my journals, they're just so organically created. And I just couldn't film the way I make my journals. I'll probably make this bookmark, and then I'll go off and do something else, and then I'll come back and I'll do this bit to hold the bookmark after I come up with an idea, and then I'll come back and then I'll do this bit after I've done 10 other pages, and that just wouldn't work if you're trying to put it together as a come make a journal with me. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying how it's coming together, and I have tried to make it as much like my journals as I can. I've kept the colour coordinating, and I've used the same sort of sketches and drawings and book pages that I use. So yeah, and thank you so much for your feedback. I tallied it up, and it looks like we are going to keep the journal together, but we are going to make a new cover so that it fits all the bits and pieces. So this guy here, on this side of the folio, I would probably honestly just stamp some lines or put a piece of note paper pad in there. On this side, I might just make a really simple pocket too, so that I can make the use of that beautiful journaling card that's nice and substantial, because you could always use that as a writing card as well. And then you've got something on that page, writing space there, writing space when you open that, and that would be something quite simple as well with no pocket. So there will be some, that might be the next video. I might just do some finishing off little bits and pieces. so that you can see what I do sort of in my end stages of my journal. So enough waffling from me. It's really good to be back on here with you, and next week is the last week of term, and then I've got 2 weeks holiday. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh, can I do that? Yee, almost. I should be able to film a few videos and have them ready to go. Okay guys, until next time, mā te wā.